Hi everyone, I'm Forrest and I'm back with another lunchtime with live animals from the insectary at the Natural History Museum. And today we're doing part 2 of chaparral creatures. Last week you learned about part 1 with Leslie and the vertebrates. Today we're going to do the invertebrates. So let's get into it. Let's talk a little bit for a second about what a chaparral is, just for review. Remember, chaparral is a biome, and it's a pretty limited biome in the world. There's only a small percentage of the Earth that's considered a true chaparral. And if we look along these latitudinal lines here, they're kind of straight across. California is one. The Mediterranean basin is one. A Mediterranean climate is also another way of saying chaparral. Then we have central Chile down here, South Africa, and the southwestern portion of Australia. And so I'm going to show you a few spiders and insects today that we have here in California, one of our tarantulas from Chile, and some of our walking sticks from Australia. And hopefully we'll have time to get to all those things. Let's jump into it. The first thing I want to show you are what are called velvet ants. Now, velvet ants are amazing because, one, they're huge. They are really big. These are some of our velvet ants here, and they're about the size of a nickel, even bigger than a nickel. I brought a nickel for scale so we could look at these. Bigger than a nickel. They would be the biggest ant you've ever seen, probably. But guess what? They're not true ants. They're not really ants at all. They're in a class called Hymenoptera, which ants are also in, but they're actually wasps. These two looks like they're having a tussle. Okay, they broke up. They're actually wasps, and they're solitary wasps. That means that they don't live in a hive or in a colony. They live solo, singly. Now we have them in here together, but that's not normally how you would find them out in the wild. And they are, now these are females here. Females are wingless, but the males have wings and they're a little bit smaller. But what's really cool about these is, right, they're covered in this velvety hair that's, for this species, it's jet black and bright orange or bright red. And those are warning colors, like you would see in, say, a monarch butterfly that's toxic to predators, or a coral snake that has venom, right? It's nature's way of saying, don't mess with me, or, right, you'll probably regret it. It's a warning. So these guys also sting, and they have a pretty painful sting. But they're not aggressive. They don't actively seek out things to sting. It's a defense mechanism. Another one of their defense mechanisms is they're incredibly hard to pick up and grab. So these hairs make them super greasy. And so they're very slippery. So we could talk a little bit about some of their ecology, right? These guys are fruit feeders. And in the chaparral, like Leslie said last week, the plants are incredibly tough. The leaves try to conserve water, but the plants also usually produce berries. Cactuses produce berries, right? And berries are a type of fruit. Fruits are made by plants in order to help them propagate, reproduce themselves. Inside of every fruit is a seed. And so these fruit feeders help plants disperse the seeds. Now, seed dispersal is really important, right? Because if you're a plant, especially in a chaparral, you want your offspring to move away from you. You don't want to have to fight with your offspring for limited resources like sunshine, plants, even soil, right? The soil could be very limited in the mineral nutrients of the soil. So these guys help plants with seed dispersal because they'll pick up the fruit, take the fruit back to their burrow, and eat the seeds or leave the seeds there. And then the seeds will germinate and turn into a new plant. So they're a really important part of the ecology. What else do we know about velvet ants? Well, their color is very variable. We can look at some of their other color morphs and get back to that screen. They can be white. They can be, this is a male. Males look similar to the females, but they have wings. They're a little bit smaller. They can be, this white one is called a white tufted velvet ant. White is kind of rare in arid places. You normally associate white hair with being in the Arctic, but you can think about it like this. If you were to go outside during the heat of the sun and you wore a black shirt, you would get really hot, versus if you put on a white shirt, the heat would reflect off the white and it would help keep you cooler. So that's why these guys are white. And then they can also be blue and black. Now this is pretty rare to see this type of warning coloration in nature, except if we were looking at, say, a blue morpho. But being blue and black is another color morph of these velvet ants, right? It's a warning sign. So these guys are considered parasitic wasps. Now, parasitic wasps, as part of their life cycle, the females will produce eggs. The stinger is also the ovipositor, so she will lay her eggs through her stinger into the nests of other insects. This species parasitizes the hives of bumblebees. And so the female will lay her eggs in where the eggs are laid of the bumblebee. And then when her larvae emerge, her larva will either eat the bumblebee larva and or the eggs. So that's what a parasitic wasp lives on other insects. Let me close this up. And let's move on to what are called Greenlink spiders. We have Greenlink spiders here in our butterfly pavilion because we have a lot of chaparral plants, desert tolerant, water tolerant plants planted in the pavilion. And this is what the Greenlink spider looks like. It's really beautiful, bright emerald green with legs that are striped, black stripes with these spikes coming off the legs, and it has really long jaws. And what's interesting about the Greenlink spider is they aren't orb weavers, so they don't build aerial webs. They're not tarantulas. They don't tunnel underground and build burrows that way. They're not a wolf spider who runs around on the ground and stalks prey. They're more like an ambush predator. And so they will creepy crawly around on low-lying shrubs, especially crops. In crops that are in fields, you'll find them by the kajillions. And so they're creeping around, snagging insects that come in and feed on the flowers, like pollinators, bees, wasps, moths, butterflies. And so they're considered to be a great pest control. And so instead of a farmer spraying his crops with pesticides, they often use Greenlinks, or just leave the Greenlinks be and don't spray the pesticides and just let the Greenlinks do their job, which in their minds is pest control. I have a Greenlinks here that we can look at. Switch my screen to look at this Greenlink spider from the butterfly pavilion. So this is a female. You can tell it's a female because males, see those two pair of tiny things that look like tiny legs, the very front of the head? A hard time focusing. her things in the front of the head don't have what look like boxing gloves at the front. They're without the boxing glove looking pieces at the front. So she's a female, and she'll live to be about a year old. And once she gets to be about 10 months old, they will put out an egg sac. And let's see if I can show you what an egg sac looks like. The egg sacs are pretty cool. They are big, right? She'll take every egg and wrap it up into a leathery pouch, right, that she made. She created it because she can produce silk inside of her body. So she'll wrap them all up, and she'll wrap up about 50 to 100 eggs at a time into this weatherproof pouch. And the pouches are usually green. This one looks like it's brownish. And then the pouches will all have spikes, be covered in spikes. And then she'll take that and she'll wrap it and strap it to her whole body so that she can run around and hunt and protect it, right? And what is she protecting it from? She's protecting it from those parasitic wasps, right? Velvet ants aren't the only types of parasitic wasps. There are lots of different types of parasitic wasps. And so she's protecting it from parasitic wasps and other predators that love to eat delicious spider eggs. And let's see if we have time for some of the other things that live in the chaparral. We've looked at this before. This is Bean, our Chilean rosehair tarantula. Here she is cuddled into her habitat today. She's a type of species that lives in the chaparral around Chile. We've also looked at some of our Australian walking sticks in previous episodes. These guys feed on the really tough leaves that we talked about before, types of oak that are incredibly tough. And they really like the tough ones. The tougher they are, the better they like it, because they really have amazing mouth parts. So this one is a female. She's only a couple of months old. She'll get to be much bigger than this, right? And she kind of looks like a mantis slash scorpion with her curled up tail. You see her defense mechanism that she's doing here? She's trying to spread her legs. She has these gnarly thorns on her legs. She's trying to catch my finger in a leg thorn right there. But I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to take the bait. And then as babies, they also look like ants, right? And so the mimicking of ants is something that is pretty common in nature. A lot of things mimic ants. Even jumping spiders mimic ants. Because ants are naturally distasteful to a lot of things. So they have a acid in their tissues that makes them not too delicious, a little bit noxious, which means distasteful. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate it so much. Leave us any questions that you have, and we always enjoy it. Thank you. See you next time. Bye.